A man quietly hid 42 school buses under the ground. What he created inside them will amaze you. Most people have never heard this unbelievable story, but just outside a major Canadian city sits one of the world's most incredible and well-kept secrets, buried far below the surface. One man, with an amazing dream, built this huge project that has stunned thousands of people while making others angry, including cops and government workers. Who was this mystery man? And what was this life-changing project he put everything into? Since the early 1980s, Bruce Beach had been quietly buying old school buses and burying them underground at a hidden location somewhere in rural Canada. His strange project drew harsh complaints, huge praise, and even brought in law enforcement. While not many people know about it, everyone who finds out about it has strong opinions about it one way or another. Recently, Beach decided to show his work to the whole world and explain why he spent so many years building it. So what was Bruce Beach hiding, and why did it make people so mad? Bruce Beach was born in Kansas back in 1934. After seeing the awful destruction of the Vietnam War and living through the frightening times of the Cold War, Bruce and his wife made a big choice to move to Canada, where they hoped to find a safer place to live. They thought Canada's faraway location would give them better protection, but just moving to the Great White North wasn't enough for Bruce. During the late 1970s, as fights between the Soviet Union and the United States reached scary levels, Beach became very worried about the growing danger of nuclear war between Russia and America. The world had seen the terrible power of atomic weapons at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and now both superpowers had thousands of nuclear missiles aimed at each other. "I couldn't just sit there waiting for the bombs to fall," Bruce would later tell news reporters. "Somebody had to do something to help people survive what might happen." Instead of just hoping for the best, he decided to act. His decision would eventually grow into a massive project he called ARC-2, which would grab the attention of countless people who shared his worries when he finally showed it to the world. In the early 1970s, Beach moved to his wife's hometown, the small Canadian village of Hornings Mills. Located about a 90-minute drive from Toronto, Hornings Mills was isolated, beautiful, and most importantly, safe from possible nuclear targets. Sitting right in the middle of the Great Lakes region, it wasn't just a gorgeous place to live. It was also perfect for Bruce's big plans. "This is the place," he told his wife as they drove through the quiet countryside. "This is where we'll build something that could save hundreds of lives." By 1980, he had already drawn up detailed plans for what would become one of the most amazing and crazy projects the Canadian province of Ontario had ever seen. Starting in 1980, Bruce Beach began buying old school buses. Getting them for around $300 each, Bruce wasn't interested in their engines or whether they could still run, but instead focused on their strong steel frames and structures. "People thought I was crazy, buying all these old buses," Bruce remembered years later, "but I knew exactly what I was doing." Slowly building up a collection of 42 buses and storing them packed closely together in an old field near his house, by 1985, Bruce was ready for the next part of his incredible plan. Bruce Beach had very specific reasons for choosing school buses because they had several important features that made them perfect for his plans. First, school buses had roomy, open-floor layouts. But more importantly, school buses are required by law to have their roofs made stronger with steel beams. This makes them safer for their young passengers in case they crash. But it also lets them support much heavier weights on their roofs. Weight that could come from tons of dirt being piled on top of them when they're buried underground. After Bruce finished arranging the school buses in a tight formation across a large section of his 12.5-acre property, he began the slow, difficult process of cutting through their frames and turning them into one massive connected structure of winding hallways, rooms, storage areas, and protective barriers. But Bruce didn't work alone. As he started construction, a small group of people who shared his worries began showing up to help, and over the following years they would assist in finishing the construction of the complex. At first, it was just me and my wife, Bruce explained to a local newspaper. But then people started hearing about what we were doing, and they wanted to help. Some thought we were getting ready for World War III, others just wanted to be prepared for any disaster. After several years of slow but careful work, Bruce's bus building complex was finished. Making sure the bus's frames were completely sealed, he began pouring concrete over the entire structure, covering it forever in the thick, strong material. After the concrete had hardened and dried, Bruce continued by covering the construction with an additional 14 feet of dirt. When he was done, the entire underground complex was completely hidden from anyone looking from above and protected under a thick layer of concrete and earth. Finally, the first construction of Bruce's dream was complete. He had built 10,000 square feet of a strengthened bunker capable of surviving a nuclear explosion and housing more than 500 people within its underground walls. Naming it Ark 2, this metal complex made from school buses and concrete became one of the largest underground structures in North America, a huge accomplishment by any measure. But building it, as it turned out, was only half the challenge. You might think that a complex as large as Ark 2, made from recycled materials and old school buses covered under tons of concrete and dirt, and built by a single untrained man, might sound a bit dangerous from an engineering standpoint. And if it was anyone other than Bruce Beach building this enormous complex, you'd probably be right. But Bruce wasn't like anyone else. Taking his passion project seriously, Bruce talked with the same engineer who designed and built Toronto's subway system. After reviewing Bruce's plans and making a few important changes, the engineer approved the structure as safe and solid. I told Bruce his idea was nuts at first, the engineer later admitted. But when I looked at his plans and saw the quality of his work, I realized he knew what he was doing. Describing the construction of Ark 2 as something done by Bruce Beach alone would be wrong. While his focused determination played a huge role in making the underground fortress a reality, he wouldn't have been able to accomplish it without help from friends and volunteers. As the project moved forward, at least 50 people from Hornings Mills, along with members of the survivalist community, came together to participate in the planning and hard work required to create the structure. "We all believed something bad was coming," said one volunteer who helped with the construction. "Bruce gave us hope that we could actually do something about it." "When I first heard about Bruce's plan, I thought he was completely out of his mind," recalled another helper. "But after working on it for a few months, I started to see the genius in what he was trying to build." In the 1980s, the fear of nuclear war felt very real to many people. The nuclear accident at Chernobyl in 1986 had shown everyone just how risky nuclear power could be. Films like The Day After showed what nuclear war might look like, and these scenes frightened millions of people who watched them. Many folks truly thought that nuclear war wasn't just something that might happen, but something that probably would happen. "We weren't out of our minds," explained one person who helped build the shelter. "We were afraid, and Bruce gave us something to believe in, that maybe we could make it through whatever bad things were coming." Getting into Ark 2 isn't as easy as just opening a door and walking through. First, you have to get permission before you can visit. But even when you're allowed in, getting into the shelter is tricky. You have to go through an old rusty door that's the only thing you can see above ground. This door leads to the power machine and the way down into the underground maze. People visiting or planning to live in the shelter then have to climb down 14 feet through dirt before they get to the real underground living space, which has lots of incredible things inside. Making Ark too safe for people running from danger means more than just keeping the shelter protected from a nuclear bomb. Once the shelter is packed full of people, one of the worst dangers the people inside will face might not come from above ground, but from other people inside. If someone with a bad or spreading sickness gets into the crowded space, the outcome could be terrible. To stop germs from spreading, Bruce had made a special cleaning room at the entrance to the building. With a steel double sink, a shower and a bathtub for kids and people who need extra help, and a place to clean food. The checking room is made to lower any risk of germs and sickness from any of the people looking for safety in Ark 2. Every person who comes in has to be looked at, Bruce told people who visited. One sick person could end up killing everyone down here. Of course, one of the most important things Ark 2 needs to provide is food. Even if everyone inside is healthy, safe, and clean, without food to feed the people in the shelter, they wouldn't be able to stay very long before they'd have to take the chance of going back outside. Luckily, Bruce had thought of everything. The shelter has 2 big kitchens, one mostly for cooking and the other mostly for cleaning dishes. Next to them, Bruce had put 2 big storage rooms packed with food and supplies. But keeping food supplies had turned out to be one of the shelter's biggest challenges, keeping it from going bad. I can't count how many tons of food we've had to throw away over the years, Bruce told the National Post in one conversation. It hurts me every time, but you can't give people rotten food. In the 30 years, the shelter had been waiting and ready. Even food that lasts a long time, like canned beans and other stored foods, had to be thrown out and replaced many times. Planning a shelter where 500 people are meant to be able to hide for a long time means more than just being able to feed them and give them a safe place to sleep. Along with bedrooms, Bruce had also made classrooms, a radio talk center, a library, common rooms, a medical room, and even a place for dead bodies and a dentist's office. "We're not trying to make the Ritz-Carlton down here," Bruce would laugh with visitors. "But we want people to be able to live with respect, even when things are at their worst." Even though parents would have to sleep in different places, Bruce had thought a lot about the children who would have to spend time underground, along with classrooms and a baby room, which would make sure kids could keep learning even in the worst times. He had also made a play area meant to work like a playground. The room was also packed with many chess sets, which Bruce thought were important teaching tools. "The children are what's coming next," Bruce often said. "Even if the world ends above ground, we need to make sure they can still learn and grow and play." While Bruce had made a shelter thinking about a long time of being cut off, he also hadn't forgotten about being able to talk to other people who survived after disaster hits. Ark 2 has a fancy radio system that can send and get messages on both AM and FM radio waves. Strong enough to reach both Canada and the United States, Ark 2's talking system would probably be the main way survivors could communicate with the outside world. Bruce always thought of his project as something completely unselfish and caring, and he ran a group called SAFE to show it. SAFE stands for A Safe America for Everyone, which means that anyone and everyone is welcome at Ark 2, no matter their race, background, politics, or religion. A hopeful pessimist, Bruce had said that, "I'm hopeful about mankind's future in the long run, but worried about what's coming soon." This means that while he thought disaster was coming quickly, he also thought that it would turn out to be a chance to build a better, healthier, and more welcoming society when everything finally calmed down. "When the bombs stop dropping and the dangerous radiation goes away, we're going to need to work as a team," Bruce would tell anyone who would listen. It won't matter what color your skin is or which god you pray to. We'll all be human beings trying to stay alive. His advice for other people was to think about what mattered most to them and to ask themselves what they would do if disaster ever happened. In the end, Bruce Beach's life ended before the world did, after his heart stopped working at the age of 87 in 2021. The man, who had spent decades getting ready for the end of the world, died peacefully, never seeing the nuclear disaster he had prepared for. Now, his wife and 5 children are wondering, what happens next with their father's mission? The shelter still sits under the Canadian countryside, proof of one man's drive to help humanity survive its worst moment. Meanwhile, Antonia Lau, a member of Beach's wide-reaching shelter community, has taken over his long-running survival newsletter, which goes out to about 2,000 people around the world. Bruce's work isn't done, Lau said in a recent conversation. As long as there are dangers to humanity, there will be people who need hope. That's what ARC 2 stands for. Hope that we can survive anything if we work together. Did you like this story? What do you think about Bruce spending decades building this massive underground bunker? Was he right to prepare like this, or was he a bit crazy? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the story, subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Sometimes the line between being prepared and being paranoid is thinner than we realize. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.